Ben Uri has wanted to actually cross the Atlantic in terms of representing American artists and continental artists to London for many years. And about 2 years ago, an amazing opportunity arose. I'm not going to tell you the intricacies of how such an amazing collection of Max Weber's arrived at the University of Reading.
I would like to thank David, who's been fantastic, and who did tell me that Max Weber was one of his favourite artists when we first met, which was when he came to Reading to see the collection. And also to thank Sarah McDougall, who has been absolutely fantastic, as I knew she would be, because she was a Reading student at one point, and the many interns who have helped her in various ways. It's been an absolute pleasure to work on this exhibition, and I'm delighted by the results, absolutely delighted. I can't tell you how happy I am. And there haven't been any arguments at all, which is absolutely fantastic, because the very first exhibition that I worked on, people screamed at each other the entire time, and it was 20 years before I did another exhibition. So, thank you.
I knew about the relationship between Weber and Alvin Langdon Coburn. Coburn, of course, this great American expatriate photographer, and Weber, a painter who had a fascinating career in that he'd gone off to Paris when he was nearly 25 years old. He was exactly the same age as Picasso. He went to Paris, he met Matisse, he studied with Matisse, he met Picasso, he was enchanted with Picasso. He came back to the United States with the first African sculpture to come to the United States as sculpture, as art. He came back with the first Picasso painting that ever came to the United States. He came back with paintings and drawings and graphic works by Henri Rousseau, the great painter of really primitive paintings with whom he was very friendly in Paris. And Weber became America's first Cubist painter. And I started working on him when I was working on my dissertation, and I found that his friendship with Alvin Langdon Coburn had led to a body of paintings that Coburn had collected because Coburn supported him financially, emotionally, and spiritually throughout the early years of his work back in New York after he returned from Paris. It took me 4 years to find the paintings. I would go around asking people, where do these paintings go? We know that they exist. Where are they? They're not in the United States. And finally, the Gernsheims, who had written a book about Coburn, said, oh, they're at the University of Reading in London, outside of London, in England. Reading? Reading? In England? I knew about Reading Jail. I knew about Wilde. Did I know about Weber in Reading? I found these paintings in Reading, and I was just completely enchanted by them. I went to visit Lionel, and he took me around, and he showed me the pictures. And I was able to include a number of them in this exhibition in 1991 at the museum, the High Museum in Atlanta, which traveled throughout the United States into 5 different museums and was a bit of a hit. I have spent a lot of time looking at Weber, and I hope you will get a chance to look at Weber and see his early work, because this represents a core group of what he was doing after he came back to New York from Paris. All of his associations in Paris with Rousseau, with Picasso, with Matisse, with Delaunay, and of course his associations with photographers in New York, including Alfred Stieglitz, along with Coburn, and with Clarence White. He actually was the first person to teach art history, if you can imagine. He's teaching art history. He's not really thrilled about teaching art history, but he was very sophisticated about art history. He taught it at the first school of photography in New York, at the Clarence White School from 1914 to 1918. And he hung exhibitions of photography. All of this gets included in his work. And you can see that with Coburn, he's gone around in New York, he's looked at New York, he's seen New York from the tops of its tall buildings, and he's been fascinated by Fauvism, Matisse. You can see a portrait of Matisse, and we see the really seminal painting that he did in the Matisse studio, his really great Fauve work. and also his influences from Cubism and the way he develops his Cubist paintings in his early years. He chooses the theme of the city, which also inspired Coburn, and you can see this interrelationship in their relationship, which existed for many years, almost to the end of Coburn's life. This exhibition puts into perspective the relationship, the support, and the development that happened. And one of the things you can see is not only what Weber was interested in Paris, but how Coburn was influenced by Weber and how Weber was influenced by Coburn. And it really is a beautiful integration of that in this exhibition.
Coburn and Weber had a very strong friendship. It was kind of an instantaneous friendship. They met at the end of 1910. They spent a few months in New York working together. But then Coburn went off to Los Angeles for the next 20 months. And they came back to New York for a couple of months, got married, and then got on a ship and came back to London. And he never met Weber again, so in all their kind of relationship, they only actually saw each other, were in each other's company for probably no more than a few weeks. But they kept on writing to each other for the next 50 years. And the last letter from Coburn to Weber is it's sometime like the end of 1960, I think, December 1960. And then Weber dies in 1961. Coburn went on for another 5 years. As Percy said, it's from her point of view, I guess it's not that good. From my point of view, the Coburn letters remain because Weber didn't burn them, didn't throw them away. Coburn also had a correspondence with Alfred Stieglitz, which he burnt in 1945 when he moved house, as you do. But he wanted to be remembered as purely for his photography, not for any kind of personal life. He tried to destroy all the details of his personal life, which is what I'm doing now, kind of ferreting it out and revealing all his secrets. Anyway, I'm working on a catalogue for an exhibition on Coburn, which unfortunately is not going to show in this country because nobody wanted to show it. I'm talking to you, V&A, and Tate, and I've tried them. They've all turned me down, don't worry. I'm not bitter. So it's opening in Madrid in December 2014, not 1914, and then it's going to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston in spring 2015, which is where Coburn was from.
The amount of detail that goes into this, because Ben Uri believes in not just producing catalogues of pretty pictures. You can buy books of pretty pictures in any bookstore you like. It's about scholarship, it's about new scholarship, and it's about entwining scholarship, taking areas that have been addressed many times before, but looking at them afresh and seeing how you can actually create a different vignette, a different narrative. And I think that's one of the great strengths, if I may proudly say to our Sarah and to Anna, who co-curated this exhibition, that there is a number of different levels and a number of different stories being told here. It's not just about the integration of photography and fine art. It's not just about Paris in the 19-teens. It's not just about the whole issue of transatlantic Paris, London, New York. But then you've got the fact that nobody's talked about it yet, that Kandinsky and Weber were the two non-British artists who were exhibited in the first Grafton Group exhibition, and Sarah has religiously brought together many of these works. So you've got that narrative. So it makes a small exhibition a huge exhibition because there are so many different chapters and levels and layers to it. The second thing I want to say is that what you heard earlier from our guest speakers was about relationships. I don't know whether you noticed that the relationship between Weber and Coburn went on for 50-odd years. The relationship has been extended by scholars who simply have committed their adult lives to these relationships and to the art and to the whole dynamic that goes on. And that is what history is about, and art history. And that's what Ben Uri is about. Although everybody at Ben Uri is under 40, roughly. We're actually 99 and a bit years old. Are we 99 years old yet? Yes, we are, of course. And next year we're going to celebrate our centenary. And if anybody doesn't think that the centenary of an institution is important, then I will stand and argue with you for 100 more years. And particularly Ben Uri's centenary, because we're spending so many days planning the exhibition that we're going to have in Somerset House next year. And it's fascinating. And I think one of the reasons why it's taking us so long, Rachel Dixon, who's our head of curatorial services, is leading the team with Alex Smith. And one of the reasons why it's so fascinating and why we're spending so long planning it is because it is so fascinating. We are enjoying and being enriched by the experience. But that's what this whole thing is about. It's about relationships, and it's about longevity, and it's about legacy. So we honor the legacy of Max Weber. We honor the legacy of Coburn. We honor the legacy of Matisse, Rousseau, and all the artists who are downstairs from the Grafton Group. And I want to thank everybody, including, and I've got not to forget, the Forward Group, Forward, the foundation, the Kaplan Foundation, but it's called the Forward Trust Fund, who have helped us produce this wonderful catalogue. So I thank them. They are based in America. It's our first transatlantic sponsorship of catalogue, so we're very grateful to them. To our operations team, where's Laura? Laura and all her wonderful team of colleagues who got Ben Uri badges, who again make this all look so easy. And it isn't so easy. I can honestly say to you that there is a new book being published called Organising an Exhibition by another friend of the museum, Frida Matassa, who is with us. And next exhibition we will take this book and we will make it even better following your book. But not this one. We didn't do this one.
This is fine.
This is fine, okay. Otherwise we'll be in trouble. But we would like to, I'd just like to end by asking Sarah to present to our four guests a very special token of our esteem. It's an honorary membership of the museum. It does not go to everybody, but today I think it's absolutely right. So Lionel's for you.
I was fascinated by the exhibition because it brings together the work of Max Weber and Alvin Langdon Coburn and showcases the wonderful relationship between the two of them. And it's a beautiful interaction between both of these artists, and you can see it in their work. Coburn supported Weber financially, spiritually, and intellectually. And Weber inspired Coburn in much the same way. And you can see that in the work. You can see the innovation and the desire to create new things. Both of them were fascinated by the city and how urbanism really develops as a theme of the 20th century. And yet, in both of their works, they also look back to traditional ideas of portraiture and still life.
What I have seen is great. I've seen the Weber paintings at Reading University, but here, framed on the walls, they just look terrific. I think they kind of glow. I think they've almost got a different life. I think they're happy to be out of their boxes and back on the walls again. And the Coburn material, obviously, I know more about because that's what I've been researching for a long time, and that just looks beautiful. And these things have never been shown before together ever, so it is a first for the Ben Uri.
Well, I think it's really fantastic that we've been able to bring an American artist who's so little known but is so well known in America to a London audience who know nothing about him, and he's actually been really, really influential on the advancement of British art in the first half of the 20th century, and it's been really quite eye-opening, partially for me working on it because I'd never heard of him before. And I think the exhibition looks really, really fantastic. It's so well laid out. We've managed to bring together so many diverse works and so many different medias. I think people should really enjoy it.
Well, as co-curator of the exhibition, it's been a really fantastic opportunity to show these works primarily by Max Weber from the Reading collection, which is not widely known, but as we've seen from the reaction tonight, is a really fantastic collection of paintings showing his journey into Cubism as he moved through the cities of New York, Paris, and then his work was brought to London. and it's also been wonderful to pair it with some of the photography of Alvin Langdon Coburn, who of course acquired these works and left them to Reading. So there's lots of different narratives to unfold there, and that's been one of the real joys of doing the exhibition.
I think it's a superb exhibition showing something which is not readily available. It gives us the history of Cubism going into America, its influence in England at the time when it was first shown. It's very wide-ranging, and as always what I like about Ben Uri is the study, the scholastic work which has gone in, the thinking. It's not just, you know, a party to look at a few paintings. It's deep, it makes you think, it makes you understand the period. I mean, this is when Picasso was young, and I think it's a superb exhibition. And the scholastic work that they've done is very important, and I really commend Ben Uri for their way they propagate information and new ideas.